You guys are the expert. I seen your prediction how it plays out. I seen your prediction.
I said if this turns into a dogfight.
No. I seen your prediction.
I said this goes earlier, it goes into a dogfight.
I seen your prediction before that. That's something you're saying now, but I subscribe to your videos, bro.
I said if it turns into a dogfight, this could turn into a dogfight.
It's all good, bro. You're still my man.
No. I said
I understand where he's coming from, where he just wants a tough challenge that he's up to. Am I right or?
Yeah, bro.
So I can understand where he's coming from.
He's young, but he's experienced. He have brain in his head.
I'm not trying to still suss him out or whatnot. I'm just like, I'm come here to do my job, same way as he's come to do his.
And I think both of you are going to do your job very well on Saturday. How does this fight play out?
Why I'm obviously getting that comparison is because I'm doing so well at such a young age.
Yeah.
Apart from that, me and
well done, bro. I'm proud of you. Well done, bro. You're doing good work. I told him, asked him. When me and him sat in the conversation, I told him, we had a conversation, I told him, bro, because I'm not a hater, bro. I'm not a hater. He's doing his thing, he's progressing. And I told him, I told him straight, I said, yeah, you're doing your thing, bro, I'm proud of you. You know, I'm not going to hate on someone for doing their thing, so why am I going to start saying, oh, yeah, this and the other, because I'm fighting him? It's still the same thing.
So those are a couple of clips from the Dillian Whyte, Moses Ituama face-off. I have to say, I knew Dillian Whyte mentioned it to Ade about Ade picking, Moses Ituama to beat Dillian Whyte, because he told me yesterday that was one of the things Dillian Whyte said. The fact that it was in this face-off was pretty cool. Well, I'd say pretty cool. It was kind of like, I can imagine how Ade was when that happened. I'd say that was a real, oh crap moment. But it was an interesting face-off. Dillian Whyte, to me, in this face-off, I've seen Dillian Whyte a lot more animated in face-offs in the past, and this could be a sign of maturity coming with age. I say maturity, but Dillian Whyte, and certainly in previous face-offs where we've seen him, and bear in mind we never saw, I think they did do a face-off for the AJ rematch, which obviously never happened, so we never got to see that. But we've seen Dillian Whyte very fiery in face-offs in the past, against AJ, against Derek Chisora first time around. We obviously know what happened there, very fiery. The Chisora, who is the donkey now, and the water incident, yeah, that was memorable. Nothing's ever going to top that. I don't think there's ever going to be a face-off that'll top that, or if there is, it'll be pretty flippin' incredible. But Dillian Whyte in this one was a lot more calm, measured. Maybe this is me overanalyzing things, right? But it seemed to me like he's trying to almost give Moses Ituama a false sense of security, if that makes sense. Because very complimentary to Ituama, very complimentary to him. And I think Ituama was kind of even in there as well, being like, oh, what's going on here, He was mentioning the fact that Dillian Whyte, the people are writing him off, given the fact that he's 37 years old. He is 17 years, crazy, 17 years Itauma's senior. And, I think was Ade was saying, it's only 37. I think Ituama even said as well, that's not that old. And Dillian went, no, I'm an old man, you're backing me into a corner, this, that, and the other. So it's almost like Dillian Whyte was coming in there, again, kind of, I don't want to say playing the Andy Ruiz, but maybe trying to give Ituama a false sense of security in there. That, everyone's expecting you to win, no one's thinking much of me, and then giving Ituama his flowers, and Ituama actually backtracking on that, because he was saying, people are comparing it to Mike Tyson at 20 years old, and Ituama was like, well, I'm nothing like Mike Tyson, it's only because, I've done so good at the start of my career and I'm so young. It's like, it's an interesting one for me. I think maybe Ituama did show his lack of, I don't want to say maturity, that's the wrong word. Listen, I've met Ituama when he was 18 years old, and I was quite impressed by his maturity, because believe me, listen, right, full disclosure, I see people in their mid-20s, right, who are maybe 4 years younger than me, 4 or 5 years younger than me, right, and it's like, whoa, it's like, it's not that long ago I was 25, and holy crap, it's like a different world compared to people who were born, 5 years thereabouts before me. It's like a different world. And here's Ituama who's even younger than them by about 5 more years, and it's like, oh, there's actually maturity there. God almighty, that's incredible. I do think he maybe just lacks that experience of the mind games, maybe, because Itauma's never had that, if you think about it. And I think Dillian Whyte was doing mind games in there, because Moses Ituama had it all his own way. as an amateur, he's never had to experience anything like that because they don't do this PR or anything like that in the amateur games. And he didn't have an extensive amateur career, to be fair. Only like 20-something amateur fights at a decent level, but still. At the pro game, Balogun, Dempsey McKean. He did do that face-off for Dempsey McKean, which was, less said about that, the better. We won't go there on that one. We really won't go there on less said about that one. Certainly the better. But yeah, in terms of this one, it was interesting. You know, I think Dillian Whyte was playing the mind games there. And I'm going to say more inexperience of the mind games. It's probably a better word than maturity. Because as I said about him, he is mature. Dillian Whyte was doing a pretty good job in there. He really was. You know, Ade mentioned that, you know, there was fights like Joseph Parker, Anthony Joshua, Derek Chisora, which would have paid him probably the same, maybe a bit more thereabouts. Why take this fight? And Dillian Whyte is like, well, I believe I can win. Ade mentioned about Dillian Whyte, you know, being in very, very good shape, which he is, and Dillian Whyte just simply answered it with, well, you know, it's a big fight. I got to be in good shape for it. So really not giving much away. And as I said, you know, giving Itauma those flowers, you know, mentioning the fact that, oh, they're perceiving you as, you know, the new Mike Tyson, and Itauma kind of being like, oh, no, hang on, it's only because. It's like, no, take that to the bank, man. Take it to the bank, Moses Ituama. Take that one to the bank. I would be saying to Itauma, if he compliments you, just be like, yeah, you know, it's fine. And maybe you don't want to risk riling Dillian Whyte up, but I'd be saying, yeah, he already knows, you know, what's going to happen on Saturday night, or something like that. Itauma is, I'm sure, confident of victory, right? But I do find it interesting, you know, with Dillian Whyte, when Ade was mentioning about, you know, Dillian Whyte having the mean streak, the vicious side, the dog in him, for want of a better word. And Dillian Whyte, again, being very... It was a strange one to watch if you're a Dillian Whyte fan. I don't know really how you'd assess it, to be honest with you. Because, again, I've seen Dillian Whyte a lot more animated, a lot more fiery. Whereas he just seemed very kind of mellow, you know, all that, spoke about, you know, upbringing in Jamaica, you know, potentially could have went down a different path had it not been for boxing putting him on the straight and narrow, and obviously providing him an absolutely phenomenal lifestyle. You know, he's, for someone who is talented but not a Usyk, a Joshua, a Fury, etc., he's done phenomenally well. I mean, Joseph Parker probably hasn't done as well, find out, maybe he has, as Dillian Whyte, but, you know, it's much of a muchness. One's clearly more talented, and the other guy who's less talented beat him, you know? So, a very interesting face-off. I don't really know what to make of it. You know, watching it, when you watch a face-off, it can kind of give you, I want to say, a sense of how you think maybe a fight will go, because if that was the case, you know, I mean, like, fights would be different, you know, if someone wins, you know, the face-off in terms of, you know, going like that. I mean, Sonny Edwards absolutely, you know, bossed Jesse Bam Rodriguez at their face-off. Well, it wasn't like that on fight night. But watching this, it just still had me thinking, you know, and looking at the way Itauma is and just looking at his body language, how confident he looks, I was like, Itauma still got this. He's still got this. But it does have me wondering, is Dillian Whyte maybe looking to make him think that, you know, maybe this is going to be a bit easy, maybe he's, you know, he's chilled, he's mellow, he's not going to do much, he's going to come out, maybe potentially look to survive, when in actual fact he's going to come out and being like, you know, a bull in the china shop straight off the bat. It was an interesting watch. It is on the DAZN YouTube channel. I would recommend you go and give it just a quick watch. It's about a 15-minute face-off, which is about right, you know. Some of the other DAZN face-offs we've seen over the last little while have been reasonably short. I think the Dubois Parker one, which I think had Andy Lee and Frank Warren at it, which was bizarre because Frank Warren's promoting both guys and yet he was in Dubois' corner, which was bizarre. I'm pretty sure that was very short. I know we never got that fight, but you know what I mean. And I think some of the other ones, like Fury, Usyk 2, I know that they did two. They did one with Steve Bunce, I think, where they watched the fight back, which was, you know, that was actually really good. I enjoyed that. I think the other one was quite short as well. So this was a bit longer. I still like, you know, a nice long drawn out face-to-face where we can really kind of get a gauge and maybe let the tension build, but maybe there just wasn't enough there. Interesting face-off. Let me know what you guys thought of it if you had a chance to watch it. I'll probably stick a couple of clips of it in, you know, at the start of this video just to get a gauge. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. As always, if you could, smash the like button, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. And until next time.